Now, at this point, some people are probably thinking, well, I brush my teeth, I floss, so surely I'm doing everything I need to do. And honestly, that's a fair comment, because if we've just spent all this time talking about plaque and tartar, bleeding gums, gum disease, and bone loss, it's natural to wonder how any of this could actually happen if you're brushing and flossing every day. The answer is actually quite simple. Brushing and flossing are incredibly important, but they're not magical. Let me explain what I mean here. Think back to that stick layer we talked about earlier. The layer is constantly forming every single day. It doesn't care whether you had your teeth professionally cleaned last week or 6 months ago. The moment it's removed, it starts building up again. That's just biology. Now, if you're brushing properly and flossing consistently, you're doing something incredibly important. You're disrupting the buildup before it has the chance to mature and become more organized. You're essentially knocking down the construction site before the building goes up. But here's the catch. None of us are perfect. I don't just mean patients. Dentists aren't perfect. Oral health therapists aren't perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. Every single one of us have areas we missed. Maybe it's behind the back molars. Maybe it's around a crowded tooth. Maybe it's just that awkward spot that always seems hard to floss. Or maybe life simply gets in the way. The day gets busy, one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you've gone from breakfast to dinner without giving your mouth much thought. We're all been there. The problem is that bacteria doesn't take a day off just because we did. They don't care if you had a stressful week or stressful day. They don't care if you're running late. They just keep building, day after day, hour after hour, layer by layer. Now remember what happens next. Plaque doesn't stay soft forever. Over time, minerals naturally found in our saliva begin hardening it. And once plaque turns into tartar, you've crossed into territory that your toothbrush and floss simply can't reverse. Think about the cement analogy. While it's still wet, you can clean it up. Once it becomes concrete, you're dealing with something completely different. The same thing happens in your mouth. You can brush harder, brush longer, buy the most expensive toothbrush in the shop. But none of those things can remove hardened tartar. And at that point, the solution isn't better brushing. The solution is professional removal. And there is another reason brushing and flossing alone aren't always enough. You can't easily see everything that happens inside your mouth. Most of us look at the front teeth in the mirror. Very few of us are regularly checking behind the back molars or noticing whether the gums around the tooth have started pulling away slightly or whether deep pockets are beginning to form in certain areas. In fact, some of the earliest signs of gum disease develop in places that are difficult for us to see, which creates an interesting problem. Everything feels fine, looks fine, nothing hurts, so naturally you assume everything is fine. Meanwhile, changes may be happening in places you've never actually looked or noticed. And that's why a professional hygiene appointment aren't just about cleaning, they're about assessment. They're about finding the areas you're missing. They're about spotting changes before they become serious. Think of it this way. You don't service your car because it's broken. You service it because you don't want it to break. The same principle applies to your mouth. The goal isn't to wait until something hurts. The goal is to prevent it from getting there in the first place. And that's really where brushing and flossing and a professional care work together. They're not competing solutions. They are part of a holistic system. Daily brushing and flossing help control what forms every day. Professional hygiene visits removes what has accumulated over time and helps identify problems you may not even know they're there. Because despite our best intentions, there are some things toothbrush simply cannot remove. And the sooner we understand that, the easier it becomes to stop small problems from quietly turning into bigger ones. Because 1 in 2 New Zealanders have gum disease.